Today, we gather to discuss an important and powerful statement made by the renowned educator, Rita Pierson, who truly captured the essence of the impact that adults can have on children's lives. As we dive into this topic, let's keep in mind the three key aspects that define a champion for children: unwavering support, the power of connection, and the pursuit of excellence. Firstly, unwavering support means being that steadfast presence in a child's life, always believing in their potential, and never giving up on them, even when they may feel like giving up on themselves. This pillar of championing a child is crucial for their emotional development and resilience. Secondly, the power of connection emphasizes the importance of building strong and nurturing relationships with children, as this is the foundation for their sense of security, self-esteem, and trust in others. By being empathetic and understanding, we foster an environment where children feel heard, valued, and supported. Lastly, insisting on children becoming the best they can possibly be encourages them to strive for excellence, to believe in their own abilities, and to understand that they have the potential to achieve great things. This message of empowerment and high expectations instills a growth mindset, setting them up for success throughout their lives. In conclusion, Rita Pierson's quote serves as a powerful reminder of the profound impact that adults can have on children's lives. By being their champions, we provide unwavering support, foster connections, and encourage excellence, ultimately setting them on a path to a fulfilling and successful life. Thank you for your attention, and let's continue to work together to ensure every child has a champion by their side. To become an effective advocate for your child, it's important to remember a few key strategies that can make a big difference. First, take the time to familiarize yourself with your child's unique needs, strengths, and challenges, as well as the policies and procedures of their school or organization. This will help you confidently advocate for the resources and support your child requires. Next, effective communication and active listening are crucial skills that can help you create a collaborative and constructive environment focused on your child's well-being. Make sure you clearly express your concerns and expectations, while also being receptive to feedback from teachers, counselors, and other professionals. Keeping a well-organized record of your child's progress, meetings, and correspondence is also important, as it helps you track developments and serves as valuable evidence when presenting your child's needs to educators and administrators. Following up on agreements, action plans, and commitments made by educators and other professionals is essential to ensure that your child receives the necessary support. Regularly checking in on their progress and holding all parties accountable for their responsibilities can help keep everyone on track. Finally, it's important to be open to compromise and understand that finding a middle ground can sometimes lead to more effective and sustainable solutions. While it's important to fight for your child's needs, being flexible and willing to collaborate can go a long way. Compromise and consensus are two ways of making decisions, but they have different approaches and outcomes. When we compromise, both sides have to give up something to come up with a solution that works for everyone. This can be useful when there are limited resources or differing interests, but sometimes it can result in a solution that's not perfect for anyone involved. On the other hand, consensus involves working together to find a solution that everyone can agree on. This means that instead of making concessions, we all work together to meet each other's needs and concerns. This process requires listening to each other's opinions, communicating openly, and being open to different perspectives. Consensus can take longer to reach, but it often leads to a more satisfying and long-lasting solution. So, in short, compromise means giving up something, while consensus means finding a solution that works for everyone involved. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA, is a U.S. federal law enacted in 1990, which aims to ensure that children with disabilities have access to a free appropriate public education, FAPE, tailored to their individual needs. I.D.A. guarantees special education services and supports, along with necessary accommodations, to eligible children with disabilities from birth to 21 years of age. The Act emphasizes the importance of inclusive education and parental involvement in the decision-making process for their child's education. Free Appropriate Public Education, or FAPE, means that U.S. public schools have a responsibility to provide students with disabilities an education that is tailored to their unique needs, without any cost to their families. This includes special education, related services, and accommodations that are necessary for them to succeed. An appropriate evaluation is an assessment process that's individualized and conducted by qualified professionals to identify a student's strengths, weaknesses, and needs. This helps determine whether the student is eligible for special education services and what kind of education plan will work best for them. LRE is a principle that means students with disabilities should be educated alongside their non-disabled peers as much as possible, with support and accommodations as needed. This promotes inclusion and helps students achieve their academic goals. Access to the general education curriculum means that students with disabilities have the right to learn the same academic content as their non-disabled peers, with adaptations and accommodations in place to help them succeed. An Individualized Education Program, IEP, is a special education plan that's created for each student with a disability. It's a legally binding document that outlines the student's needs and goals, as well as the services and accommodations that will help them achieve those goals. Procedural due process is a concept that ensures fairness and transparency in decision-making processes affecting the rights and interests of individuals. In special education, this means that there are safeguards in place to protect the rights of students with disabilities and their families, including opportunities to challenge decisions. Parent and student participation in decision-making means that parents and students with disabilities should be actively involved in decisions about the student's education. This includes working together to develop and review the IEP, participating in meetings, and having a say in decisions that affect the student's education. The goal is to make sure that the student's education plan is tailored to their unique needs and promotes their best interests. The Missouri State Plan for Special Education is a comprehensive framework that outlines the state's policies, procedures, and guidelines to ensure the implementation of IDEA for students with disabilities in Missouri. The plan includes provisions for identification, evaluation, eligibility determination, individualized education program, IEP, development, and the provision of special education and related services. The Missouri State Plan for Special Education serves as a guide for local school districts to develop and deliver appropriate special education programs and services that comply with federal and state regulations. Prior Written Notice, or PWN, is a rule that's part of IDEA, and it means that schools have to give parents a written notification before making any big changes to their child's special education plan. This includes changes to the child's evaluation, placement, or services. The notice helps make sure that parents are aware of any changes and have a chance to respond. This promotes transparency and helps parents be involved in the decision-making process. An independent educational evaluation, or IEE, is an assessment of a student with a disability that's done by someone outside of the school district. This can provide a different perspective on the student's needs, which can help inform their individualized education program, IEP. FERPA, Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, is a law in the U.S. that protects the privacy of student education records. It gives parents and eligible students the right to access and control the disclosure of these records, as well as the right to make changes to them if needed.
Participation. As a parent, you have the right to be involved in meetings about your child's education, including meetings about their identification, evaluation, and placement. This means that you can make sure that your child's unique needs are considered and addressed in their education plan.
Suspension. If your child is facing a suspension that's longer than 10 days or a series of suspensions, you have the right to make sure that their disability is taken into account. This helps ensure that they are treated fairly and that their unique needs are taken into consideration. Procedural safeguards in Parents' Bill of Rights. As a parent, you have the right to receive a copy of your Procedural Safeguards in Parents' Bill of Rights every year and during your child's evaluation. These documents provide important information about your rights and protections under IDEA. You also have the right to request mediation or a due process hearing if you have a dispute with the school. Due process. Due process is a legal concept that makes sure decisions are fair and transparent, and that rules and procedures are followed when making decisions that affect someone's rights and interests. It's an important safeguard that protects the rights of individuals and allows them to challenge decisions made against them. Facilitated IEP. Although not part of procedural safeguards, a facilitated IEP can be conducted when both parents and school district staff agree that a neutral party's assistance would benefit the IEP team in addressing concerns efficiently and effectively. When a student is struggling with their academics, behavior, or development, it's important to identify the problem and address it. This is the first step in the evaluation process. Implementing interventions. The school staff will work to implement targeted interventions to help the student improve. They will collect data to see if the interventions are effective in meeting the student's needs. Referral for evaluation. If the interventions don't work, the student may be referred for a formal evaluation. This can be initiated by the parents or school personnel, depending on the situation. Data review. The school counselor and psychologist will review data from the school and parents to decide if further testing is needed to determine the student's eligibility for special education services. This will help them understand the student's unique needs and how best to support them. The evaluation process, Part 2. If a student needs further testing to determine if they're eligible for special education services, there are several steps that will be taken. Review of existing data, or RED. The school will gather all relevant information about the student and hold a meeting, which parents can participate in, to discuss their needs. Targeted evaluation. Based on the information gathered in the RED, the school will conduct evaluations in specific areas to determine if the student is eligible for special education services. Eligibility conference. Once testing is complete, the school will hold a meeting with parents and relevant personnel to discuss the results and decide if the child qualifies for special education services. Evaluation report. After the eligibility conference, parents will receive a copy of the evaluation report, which includes interpretations of the test results and the final decision regarding the child's eligibility for special education services. This step-by-step process ensures that each student's needs are thoroughly evaluated and that they receive the appropriate special education services if they're eligible. In Missouri, the criteria for determining a student's eligibility for special education services are based on the state's guidelines and federal regulations under IDEA, Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. Specific criteria can be found on the link to the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education website. Re-evaluation for special education services. Every 3 years, a re-evaluation is required to determine if the student still needs special education services. The re-evaluation process focuses on the following areas. Continuing eligibility. The team will assess if the child still needs special education services by reviewing their progress and any changes in their needs. Adequate information. The team will gather sufficient data to update the student's Individualized Education Program, IEP, with new goals and accommodations. Goals and accommodations. The team will determine suitable goals, accommodations, and modifications that will help the student succeed. By conducting a re-evaluation every 3 years, the school can ensure that the student's needs are being met and that their education plan continues to be appropriate for their unique needs. There are a few additional points to keep in mind about the re-evaluation process. Waiving re-evaluation. If all parties agree that a re-evaluation is not necessary at the 3-year mark, it may be waived. Early re-evaluation. If a new concern arises, a re-evaluation can be requested before the 3-year mark. Testing not always required. A re-evaluation may not always require new testing, depending on the available data and current situation. The team may be able to use existing data to make decisions about the student's needs. These points help ensure that the re-evaluation process is flexible and tailored to the student's unique needs. It also helps to ensure that the student's education plan is updated regularly to reflect their current needs and progress. The IEP process for special education students. The Individualized Education Program, IEP, process is an important part of providing support and resources for special education students. Here are the key steps. Gathering information. The team will gather information from the special education evaluation to determine the student's unique needs. Meeting with parents and school personnel. The team will meet with parents and school personnel to make decisions and develop a tailored written plan that meets the student's specific needs. Outlining goals and accommodations. The IEP will outline specific goals, accommodations, modifications, and related services that will help the student succeed. Tracking progress and adjustments. The team will track the student's progress and make adjustments to the IEP as needed to ensure that the student's needs continue to be met. Overall, the IEP process is a crucial part of ensuring that special education students receive the support and resources they need to succeed. It allows for individualized attention and planning to help each student reach their full potential. Important information regarding individualized education plans, IEPs, for special education students. Commitment to services. Both the SSD and the local school district are committed to providing the necessary resources and services for your child. Annual review and revision. The IEP is reviewed and revised at least once a year to ensure it meets the student's changing needs. Amendments and rewrites. The IEP can be amended or rewritten if the team determines that changes in the special education program are needed. The Individualized Education Program, IEP, team is responsible for developing and reviewing the IEP to ensure that it meets the student's unique needs. The team includes Parents/guardians. Parents/guardians are equal participants in the IEP process and are expected to work collaboratively with school personnel to develop, review, and revise the IEP. General and special education teachers. At least one general education teacher and one special educator bring their expertise and knowledge to the team. They provide valuable insights on the student's academic progress and needs. Local school district representative, an LEA representative who is knowledgeable about the curriculum and can commit resources. They help ensure that the school can provide the necessary accommodations and services to support the student's needs. Together, this team collaborates to develop an IEP tailored to the student's unique needs, outlining specific goals, accommodations, modifications, and related services to ensure the student's academic success. By working together, the team can provide the best possible support and resources for the student. An individual to interpret evaluation results. This person should be qualified to explain the results of any evaluations that have been conducted to determine the student's strengths, weaknesses, and educational needs. Other individuals who have knowledge or expertise about the child. This can include teachers, therapists, counselors, or other professionals who have worked with the student and have knowledge of their abilities and needs. You may also invite family members or advocates who can provide input and support. The child, whenever appropriate. Students with disabilities should be included in the IEP process to the greatest extent possible. This can help them take ownership of their education and express their needs and goals. At transition to adult life, other agencies needed to plan the child's future. As a student approaches the transition to adult life, other agencies, such as vocational rehabilitation or social services, may need to be involved in the IEP process to help plan for their future needs. By involving a team of individuals with different perspectives and expertise, the IEP can be tailored to meet the student's unique needs and promote their academic and personal growth. The present level of academic achievement and functional performance, or PLAFP. The PLAFP is a detailed description of the student's current academic and functional abilities, strengths, and weaknesses. It's an essential part of the Individualized Education Program, IEP, process and serves as the foundation for developing an effective IEP. Having an accurate and detailed PLAFP is crucial for ensuring that the student's unique needs are addressed, and that they have the necessary support and resources to succeed. The PLAFP provides a starting point for developing specific goals, services, supports, accommodations, and placement for the student. By identifying the student's current abilities and needs, the team can create a tailored plan that addresses those needs and sets achievable goals. It's important to regularly update the PLAFP to ensure that the student's progress and needs are accurately reflected and that the IEP remains effective. Overall, the PLAFP is a critical component of the IEP process, ensuring that each student receives an education plan that is tailored to their unique needs and provides them with the support and resources necessary to succeed. Charting the Life Course and the PLAFP. Charting the Life Course is a person-centered planning framework that helps students and their families create a vision for their future. By considering the student's strengths, preferences, interests, and needs, the Charting the Life course process can inform the development of goals and objectives in the PLAF. The PLAF is a detailed description of the student's current academic and functional abilities, strengths, and weaknesses. By using the Charting the Life course process, the team can identify the student's desired future outcomes and tailor the PLAF to address the specific areas of academic and functional performance that will help them achieve their goals. This person-centered approach provides a more comprehensive understanding of the student's needs and ensures that they receive the necessary support and resources to achieve their full potential. By working together, the team can create a more effective IEP that is tailored to the student's unique needs, preferences, and goals. Overall, the Charting the Life course process and the PLAF provide a person-centered and tailored approach to special education, ensuring that each student's unique needs are met and they have the necessary support and resources to achieve their goals. This approach helps students achieve their desired outcomes and lead fulfilling lives beyond their education. Special considerations in special education. Special considerations refer to the individualized needs and requirements of a special education student that may require additional support or accommodations beyond what is typically provided. These considerations are important to consider when developing the student's individualized education program, IEP, to ensure that they receive the necessary support and resources to achieve their full potential. Some examples of special considerations may include visual or hearing impairments, behavioral or communication difficulties, limited English proficiency, post-secondary transition services, transfer of rights, state and district assessments, assistive technology, and eligibility for extended school year services. The IEP team considers these special considerations when developing the student's individualized education plan. By taking into account the unique needs of the student, the team can create a tailored plan that addresses those needs and provides the necessary support and accommodations to ensure the student's success. Overall, special considerations are an important aspect of special education. By recognizing and addressing the individual needs of each student, the IEP team can create a plan that is tailored to their unique needs, ensuring that they receive the necessary support and resources to achieve their full potential. The present level of academic achievement and functional performance, PLAF, is a crucial component of developing effective IEP goals for special education students. The PLAF describes the student's current abilities and limitations, which serves as the foundation for setting achievable goals. IEP goals must meet several criteria to be effective. They must be specific, clear, and measurable, outlining the skill or behavior to be achieved. Goals must be tied to a standard or benchmark and include information on how progress will be measured. They must describe a specific skill or behavior and outline the expected outcomes and steps needed to reach them. Goals must also indicate whether the skill or behavior will increase, decrease, or be maintained, and specify the level of attainment required to achieve the goal. Finally, goals must include baseline data that provides a starting point for measuring progress. By taking into account the student's current abilities and limitations, IEP goals can be tailored to their unique needs and abilities, providing the necessary support and resources to achieve academic and functional success. The PLAF ensures that each goal is based on a solid foundation, and the criteria for setting goals ensure that each goal is achievable and measurable. Overall, understanding how the PLAF informs the development of IEP goals is essential to ensuring the success of special education students. Once the IEP goals are set, the IEP must describe what services and supports the student needs to achieve those goals. This may include things like special education services, such as one-on-one instruction or resource rooms, and related services like speech or occupational therapy. There may also be supplemental aids and services, such as assistive technology or preferential seating, to help the student participate in the general education environment. School personnel may also need additional support to help the student, such as professional development or consultation with outside experts. The IEP will also specify how many minutes per week of these services are needed to make sure the student has everything they need to achieve their goals.
Supplemental aids and services are designed to enable the student to benefit from the general education environment. Examples of supplemental aids and services include
Social interaction support, support to facilitate social interactions at lunch, recess, or other school activities. Note-taking assistance, assistance with note-taking, such as providing copies of lecture notes or outlines, or using a note-taking app or software. Assistive technology, referral to assistive technology, such as specialized software, communication devices, or equipment, to help the student access the curriculum and participate in the classroom. Augmentative communication, such as sign language or visual aids, to help the student communicate with peers and teachers. Interpreter service, such as a sign language interpreter, to help the student access instruction and communicate with teachers and peers. In conclusion, supplemental aids and services are an important component of the IEP, designed to support the student's participation and success in the general education environment. Accommodations are tools that can help make learning more accessible and fair for students with disabilities. They're designed to give these students the same opportunities as their peers to engage in academic activities and learn from the curriculum. Here are a few examples of accommodations. Extended time. Some students may need more time to complete assignments or tests due to their disability. Providing extra time can help reduce their anxiety and allow them to work at a pace that works best for them. Large print. For students with visual impairments or reading difficulties, using large print materials or other visual aids can help them better understand the content and participate in class activities. Frequent reminders. Some students may need additional support to stay on task and follow rules or routines. This can include verbal or visual cues to help them remember what's expected of them. Frequent breaks. Breaks can be helpful for students who experience fatigue, anxiety, or other challenges that can impact their academic performance. Taking breaks can help them recharge and stay focused. Organization support. Staying organized can be a challenge for some students with disabilities. Providing support such as color-coded folders, checklists, or visual aids can help them manage their materials and stay on track with their assignments. Modifications or changes made to academic expectations for students with disabilities to better suit their individual needs. They're intended to provide a more level playing field and give these students an equal opportunity to succeed. Here are some examples of modifications. Reduced homework. Some students may find it difficult to complete the same amount of homework as their peers due to their disability. Reducing the amount of homework can help them manage their workload and feel less overwhelmed. Shorter assignments. Writing papers or essays can be a challenge for some students with disabilities. Shortening the length or complexity of assignments can help them better understand the material and demonstrate their knowledge in a way that works for them. Fewer test questions. Answering every question on a test can be daunting for some students with disabilities. Reducing the number or complexity of test items can help them feel more confident and showcase their knowledge more effectively. Alternate projects. Providing alternative projects or assignments can help students with disabilities demonstrate their understanding of the curriculum in a way that matches their abilities. This can help them feel more engaged in their learning and achieve their goals. In summary, modifications are an essential part of an individualized education program, IEP, aimed at providing students with disabilities with the necessary support and resources to achieve academic success. By understanding the available modifications, parents and educators can better support these students and help them thrive. Related services are specialized support services that are essential to helping students with disabilities benefit from special education. These services are designed to provide students with the necessary support to help them meet their educational goals. They can include a wide range of services such as transportation, counseling, speech and language therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy, and other medical and mental health services. The main purpose of related services is to ensure that students with disabilities can fully participate in their special education program. These services are tailored to meet each student's individual needs and help them achieve academic success. By providing these services, students with disabilities can receive the support they need to overcome any barriers to learning and reach their full potential. The specific related services that are included in a student's individualized education plan, IEP, will depend on the student's unique needs and the goals outlined in the plan. These services are meant to be supplemental and complementary to the special education program, ensuring that the student has the necessary support to access and benefit from their education. Overall, related services play a critical role in supporting students with disabilities in their academic and personal growth. They help ensure that all students have the opportunity to succeed and achieve their goals, regardless of their disability. When your child's individualized education plan (IEP) is complete, a placement recommendation will be made based on their specific needs and the accommodations outlined in their plan. The goal is to recommend the least restrictive environment (LRE) possible, which means that students with disabilities should be educated with their peers in general education classrooms to the greatest extent appropriate. The LRE promotes inclusion and provides students with disabilities access to the general education curriculum, as well as opportunities for social integration and participation in school activities. It's important to note that the LRE is not a one-size-fits-all approach and can vary depending on each student's individual needs. Sometimes, a more specialized setting may be necessary to meet the student's unique needs. The placement recommendation should always be based on the individual student's abilities and the level of support required to meet their educational goals. This ensures that students with disabilities receive the appropriate level of support to succeed academically and personally. Ideally, the placement recommendation should also be as close as possible to your child's home, to minimize disruptions to their daily routine and provide a familiar learning environment. Ultimately, the goal is to ensure that your child receives the education they need to thrive and reach their full potential. The least restrictive environment, LRE, is a fundamental principle in special education that emphasizes the inclusion of students with disabilities in general education classrooms to the greatest extent possible. This means that students with disabilities should have access to the same educational opportunities and participate in the same activities as their peers without disabilities, to the maximum extent appropriate based on their individual needs. The LRE is not a one-size-fits-all approach and should be based on each student's unique needs and abilities. In some cases, a more specialized setting may be necessary to meet the student's needs, while in other cases, full inclusion in the general education classroom may be appropriate. It's important to note that the LRE is a legal requirement under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act (IDEA). The school district is responsible for ensuring that every student is placed in the LRE and that the necessary supports and accommodations are provided to promote their success. When determining the appropriate placement for a student with disabilities, the school must consider factors such as the student's academic and social needs, their ability to learn in a general education classroom, and the level of support they require to achieve their educational goals. The LRE is intended to provide students with disabilities with the same opportunities as their peers without disabilities and promote their overall academic and personal growth. When making placement decisions, the IEP team considers the continuum of alternative placements as outlined in the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act (IDEA). The continuum includes different options where children can receive services based on their unique needs and abilities. The options available in the continuum of alternative placements include general education classes, inclusion in the general education classroom with appropriate supports and accommodations. Special education classes, separate classroom settings with specialized instruction and services. Special education schools, separate schools specifically designed to serve students with disabilities. At-home services provided at home by qualified professionals, such as tutors or therapists. Hospital or other public or private institutions, placement in a hospital or other specialized institution for short-term or long-term care. It is important to note that placement decisions should be based on the individual student's unique needs and abilities, and the goal is to provide the least restrictive environment, LRE, possible. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA, requires that every student with a disability should be educated in the least restrictive environment, LRE, which means inclusion in the general education classroom with appropriate supports and accommodations. However, there may be situations where removing the student from the general education classroom is necessary. The IEP team may consider removing the student from the general education classroom only when the nature and severity of the student's disability is such that their education in the general education class, with the use of supplementary aids and services, cannot be achieved satisfactorily. The student is so disruptive that the education of other students is significantly impaired. It is important to note that removing the student from the general education classroom should be a last resort after all other options have been explored. The decision should be based on the student's individual needs and abilities, and the goal is always to provide the least restrictive environment, LRE, possible. After the IEP meeting, it is important to stay involved and maintain open communication with your child's teacher and the IEP team. Here are some tips to consider. Maintain close contact with your child's teacher. Regular communication can help ensure that your child's needs are being met and that the program is working effectively. Ask for suggestions on how you can continue to practice and reinforce what is going on in school. This can help extend your child's learning beyond the classroom and support their progress. If you think teachers or other team members are doing a good job, let them know. Positive feedback can be motivating and encouraging for educators, and can help build a collaborative relationship. Get involved in your child's school. Joining the PTA/PTO, SSD Parent Advisory Council, or District Parent Advisory Council can help you stay informed and engaged in your child's education. We would like to share some online resources that may be helpful for parents of children with special needs. First, the Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, DESE, offers a comprehensive guide for parents called Parents' Guide to Special Education in Missouri, which provides information on the special education process, rights and responsibilities, and other related topics. Another valuable resource is Rights Law, which offers a wealth of information on special education law and advocacy. Their website includes articles, books, and resources for parents and professionals. PACER, Parent Advocacy Coalition for Educational Rights, is another organization that provides information and support for families of children with disabilities. Their website offers a variety of resources, including webinars, workshops, and publications. The Center for Parent Information and Resources, formerly known as NICHC, is a national organization that provides information and resources to families of children with disabilities. Their website offers a wide range of information on special education law, advocacy, and other related topics.
On behalf of the Special School District, thank you for your interest and attention.